Hi everybody, Dave Stiles with the Race Across America. Today I'm going to show you how to use our Excel and numbers workbook to estimate your budget for your team. Now this is really designed for the new team that really doesn't have any idea of how much things are going to cost, but it's useful for experienced teams as well. So the RAM budget outline, this PDF you're going to download it and read, is going to give you a general idea of all the terminology and costs associated with the race. But it's not going to give you an easy way of calculating all of that up. So you could either do it on your own or you could use this workbook that we've provided. So at the bottom of the budget outline, there are some examples of number of vehicles and crew members and hotels for a low and a high-end budget for each category. And that's just kind of a starting place. Once you have that figured out where you want to be, you're going to open up this numbers file if you're on a Mac, or an Excel file if you're on a PC, and it's going to be the RAM budget workbook. Now inside that workbook you're going to have three sheets. One of them is the standard worksheet, then there's the custom worksheet, and then the data values. The data values, you don't really want to mess with anything on there. I've covered it up so you can't really change anything accidentally. The standard one, we've done the same thing, so all of these gray boxes and blue boxes, they're difficult to click on. You can navigate to them in numbers. In Excel, you can't. But if I were to click on this green box here and then use my arrow key to move over to the right, you'll see that I can actually select this gray box here. And inside that cell is this long formula that is going to be associated with the categories that I select here in this drop-down menu. That's going to change. So you don't really want to mess with these formulas here. If you do, you're going to have to re-download the program and or re-download the file or undo it until you get back to square one. So long story short, let's use the standard worksheet, and we'll only edit in green or pink. We won't make any changes to any of the other boxes. Now I did supply a custom worksheet here that is not locked. This you can just click anything that you want. Except for right there, I accidentally left that on. You can click anything you want here, and then you can change it around if you want to. But you shouldn't really need to mess with these unless you're pretty familiar with Excel or numbers, and you can mess with those formulas if you want to. All right, so let's get to this. Let's just go over this workbook real fast, and that is it has adjustable drop-down menus and their pre-programmed costs associated with the green boxes, and then you can click on those, select from a drop-down list to whatever category, and you're going to get an auto adjustment of the estimated cost. The pink boxes here, these ones, that's a variable that you can just manually enter, and in this case it's miles per gallon for fuel. So if for follow vehicle 1 got different fuel mileage, you could just type in that it got 10 miles to the gallon, and then you could change the values over here. And that one didn't change, but I'll tell you why in a second. That's a specific one. And then these green ones over here, these don't have drop-down menus. Those are just values you can add in for actual costs once you start booking these particular items. So let's just go over the estimate first. So let's say we're going to do a solo entry, the cheapest solo entry we can possibly do. So we're going to register early if you're capable of doing that. Then we're going to go and do the vehicles next. So we have to have a follow vehicle. It's set to personal right now, but I don't have a minivan that I want to use for following, so I need to rent one. I can rent one one way from Oceanside to Annapolis, and that's going to cost me about $3,500. or I can rent from my home, drive it to Oceanside, do the race, and then drive it back to my home and return it there. And that's going to cost about $1,700, roughly a month worth of rental. Now, the reason that those values are different, you may think, hey, that doesn't make any sense. But a same location rental is cheaper because they don't have to, they charge you a fee for moving the vehicles from one place to another and not dropping it off in the same location. So let's just say that what I'm going to do is end up using my personal vehicle as well as a rental. So I can only drive the personal vehicle, which we're going to call an auxiliary because it's a pickup truck. I'm going to drive this personal vehicle out to the race and then home afterwards. So that's not going to cost me anything in rental fees, but that means I need to rent a minivan in Oceanside and then drop it off in Annapolis or San Diego, and Baltimore is probably where we'll go from. So there's a cost right there that gets tossed in. I'm not going to use an RV because we're going bare bones. We're just going to stay in a hotel and camp as needed. So now we're going to look at fuel. Fuel is going to be a standard $1,000 for the follow vehicle just to get across, and that's because we're driving at about 10 to 15 miles an hour the whole time. It just fuel doesn't go very far. But in my auxiliary vehicle, which is going to be a round trip, that's going to be about 6,400 miles of driving, and that pickup truck does not get 20 miles to the gallon. It gets about 16 miles to the gallon. So we're going to put that in there, and that's going to give us our estimated fuel bill. For that, now this additional cost, you can just put in additional dollars right there that you may calculate. So in this instance, the person in question I'm talking about is Jason the Hammer Lane. He is going to be driving his personal vehicle from Ontario, which means he's going to actually come down to North Carolina and pick me up and drive across with me. So it's going to cost him an extra $200 to drive down there and then across. So we're just going to plug that in. Now we're going to go to additional items for vehicles. The follow vehicle setup, that's basically a fixed cost when you first do the race. If you already have these items, it's not going to cost you that. So you can adjust that in the actual cost as you see fit. But we only have one follow vehicle, so we're going to leave it at one. We need to buy a new PA system because our old PA system disintegrated on the last race. So we're going to leave that in there. If not, just adjust it as needed. We already have a music system, which we purchased in 2012, and it cost us about $400 total, but we're still going to use that one, so we don't need to buy another one. Navigation equipment, we have 2 vehicles total, so that's every year we need to buy new pens and notebooks and things like that. It ends up coming to about $50 a vehicle. And then additional supplies, this is things like contact paper and so on and so forth to make the vehicles all ready to go. That's 2 vehicles total as well. Communication equipment, these are extra charges on phones for roaming fees and walkie-talkies and things, and we need new walkie-talkies, but we're also going to buy these Bluetooth headsets, so we're going to put that budget closer to $600. Jason is a Spiz user, so we're going to go Liquid Nutrition Solo. You can see the difference in cost here. $440 is what we estimate for solid food versus $275 for liquid nutrition. This is just the fee for the water and ice we need to purchase along the route. So that's where our budget is for that. The actual cost of the Spiz, that's on top of that, so we need to put that in the budget somewhere else later. But I'll let you guys do that on your own. Crew food, we're in the solo category as opposed to the 2 and 4 or the 8 person, and the difference is the duration that we're out. The solo category, we're gonna be on the road for upwards of 12 days plus 2 or 3 days on either end of food. We run with 5 crew, so we're going to select that. That's going to give us our food budget. Flights, we normally, Jason and I drive out together, and then the other 4 crew members, they all fly in and around. So we're going to put in 4 domestic crew members. Let's see, where are we at? Hotel. We don't like spending a lot of money on hotels, so we do bare bones with this. Again, we get 2 rooms in Oceanside for 2 nights, and that's about it. During the race, we'll get 1 room on a couple of days just to shower in for the crew. Jason never sees anything other than his bike saddle or the inside of the follow vehicle, so we don't need anything for him. And then in Annapolis, we do 2 rooms as well, and we're going to do that for 2 nights also. So there's our budgets for that. We don't need extra banquet tickets. We tend to get t-shirts every year, so we'll do 6 of those as well. And then we don't need to ship anything because Jason just drives everything there and back that he needs. So there you have our estimated budget. Our subtotal is $15,620. We're going to add another $1,500 of unexpected, and we're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $17,182 for this particular year. Now, as I start booking things, I'm going to just start putting them into this workbook here. So the registration fee, is standard, so we're going to just put that in there, and then once I book a follow vehicle, I'll actually reserve it and find out what the actual estimate cost is going to be. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. Let's say it's a little bit less. I can put that number in there. Everything else is 0 here. That's going to be the same. This is going to be the same. Oops, that's too much. Same here. Let's say that the setup cost, once we actually put that together, or we think that's going to be lower because we already have some of the setup stuff, we can bump that down a little bit. The PA system, we do need to buy a new one, so that's how that works. Our music system we have already. Navigation equipment, I'm going to leave all those because I know we're going to spend that much. And then our communication equipment, we already have walkie-talkies, so we don't need the $200 for those, but we do need to budget $400 for these new Bluetooth headsets. So I'm going to put that in there as our actual budget for communications. This is going to be $275 for our water and ice, but we also need to buy about $600 worth of Spiz. So I'm going to put this up to $675, and then this we know is going to be the same for food. The flights, those are going to be different. So once, let's say I spend a little less money on flight, or I get some really good deals, or Jason uses some points to fly us around, and say it's only $1,300 for that. And then same thing here. Once I book hotels, I can put that in if those numbers are a little different as we go. Well, this one I shouldn't change actually because that's going to be on course. This one I'll book early, and maybe we get a deal on that and bring that down. And then our final t-shirt bill, let's say I get a deal from my t-shirt manufacturer, my screen printer. And this is where our actual budget's going to fall in. So you can see we can make some adjustments there and play with things. And it's a good little tool to allow you to tweak things. And let's say a crew member drops out partway through the leading up to the race, and now, oh man, we're only stuck with 4, but we can adjust that and see what that's going to do to our budget. Or we can, if we decide, hey, we're going to, instead of having 5 crew, we think we're going to bring another one on, we can add that crew member. Just make sure you add in all the other categories, if they're going to be flying in, and then, the t-shirt costs and so forth. Just run through all that stuff and change it all. But that's about it. If you have any questions, feel free to email info@raceacrossamerica.org, and then just in the subject put budget questions, and they'll get an email to me, and I can contact you if you have any questions using this particular document. So hope this helps and works for you, and good luck getting ready for the race.